Hey guys, Jason here to talk about one of my favorite shows of all time, and that show is Batman the Animated Series. Just had its 30th anniversary this week. I was about 3 years old when the show first aired, and I've watched just about every episode. It's still, to me, one of the best shows on television, definitely one of the most influential to date. A lot of that comes with the very groundbreaking things they were doing on the show. I mean, they painted the backgrounds on black paper. I mean, that was unprecedented. People thought they were crazy for doing that, but it really paid off. I mean, it gave this very dark and mysterious air of it. And as a kid, I really appreciated a lot that was going on in the show. But it's the kind of show that when you revisit it as an adult, you find new things in it. And I certainly did. And I have a newfound appreciation for it than I did when I was young back then. I mean, the storytelling was fantastic. I mean, these were some of the best Batman stories ever put to paper. I mean, this series even gave us Harley Quinn. I mean, that was a huge thing. I mean, she's such an iconic character, and without Batman the Animated Series, we would not have Harley Quinn. That's just the bottom line. And what a stellar voice cast. I mean, Kevin Conroy is the most iconic voice as Batman. I mean, when you think Batman, you think Kevin Conroy. Speaking of iconic voices, Mark Hamill is the Joker. Again, he just brings this energy that is so very much the Joker, and you wouldn't have it any other way. But aside from that, I mean, it's still a pretty star-studded cast. You've got Richard Mull as Two-Face, Roddy McDowell as the Mad Hatter, Adrienne Barbeau as Catwoman, John Glover as the Riddler, to name just a few, and it's just it's absolutely, I mean, there's no amount of bad things I can really say about it. I mean, even some of the more hokey or strange episodes are still very well written, still very well put together, are still very enjoyable in their own way. It's just one of the best animated shows on television. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about 10 episodes that I really liked, 10 episodes that came to mind. They're not necessarily my top 10 favorite episodes. They're just 10 episodes that just kind of came to me in talking about this topic. If there are any episodes that you like that I might have missed, feel free to share it down in the comments below. I know there are certainly episodes on this list that I haven't picked, but I mean, there are just so many good episodes. There are just so many episodes that I could have chosen from that I decided to narrow it down to these 10. So we're going to get into this list here right now. The first episode I'm going to talk about is Heart of Ice. It's considered to be one of the best episodes of the series, and for good reason. It took what was once a one-dimensional, very robotic character like Mr. Freeze and made him so multifaceted and one of the most tragic characters in Batman's canon. There's a reason why this is held up as one of the best episodes of the series. It also features an early performance by Mark Hamill, not as the Joker, but as another character in this episode. I don't want to spoil too much if anyone hasn't seen Heart of Ice. So, I mean, it's a really good episode. Just check it out. The next episode I want to talk about is House and Garden. It's a very late in the series episode. One of those episodes that really dissects a character, the character specifically Poison Ivy. And it has a very Twilight Zone-esque feel to it. That's what I really like about the episode. It's suspenseful. It's at times terrifying, and that twist is one of the best twists in the series. Again, for anyone who hasn't seen the episode, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a reason why it's one of my favorite episodes. It's really good. The next episode I want to talk about is Perchance to Dream. It's one of those episodes that kind of is a what if, if what would Bruce's life be like if his parents weren't killed? It was such an interesting, cool concept and idea, an idea that was even carried over into Justice League when they made a similar episode about Superman. It's just one of those episodes that leaves you questioning things, leaves you guessing, and the big reveal at the end is definitely one of the best in the series. I'm not going to spoil it, so check it out. The next episode I'm going to talk about is Second Chance, another late series episode. It's one of those episodes that also really digs deep into a character. This episode, specifically Two-Face. There are a lot of episodes kind of delving deep into Two-Face's character, Harvey Dent's character. This is definitely one of them. But it's one of my favorites because it's just so twisted that if you're not really familiar with how Two-Face operates, you're not going to see the end coming. So it's one of my favorite episodes. It's a brilliant episode. Check it out. Next episode I want to talk about is Riddler's Reform. It's another late series episode. I know I picked a lot of episodes that were later on in the series, but that era was kind of a real good point in the series where a lot of the more hard hitting, a lot of the more solid episodes were coming out. And this was no exception. Apparently Riddler's given up his life of crime, but Batman doesn't trust it, and rightfully so. I think it has one of the best endings in the series. I just howl with laughter every time, just because it's so iconic. It's so fun. And I enjoy watching it every time. After that, I want to talk about The Laughing Fish, one of the more iconic episodes of the series. It drew a lot from Batman comics, and you can kind of see it in some of the imagery, but it's at times a very terrifying episode, and you don't know quite what's going on and what to really trust in terms of the Joker's true intentions. And it's just another brilliant Joker episode. I mean, I could talk about Joker episodes. I could fill this entire list with Joker episodes. It's classic Joker episodes. But that just wouldn't be fair to the other villains. So, Another episode I really wanted to talk about was Mad Love. Probably another one of the most iconic episodes in the series. It features the origin story of Harley Quinn. An interesting story behind this was that it was originally made as a comic, but was turned into an episode, much like many of these later season, or as they would call them, revamp episodes were. They were taken from the Batman Adventures comics and turned into episodes, and this is no exception. This episode, another good Joker episode, but really a good Harley episode. There are several good Harley Quinn episodes I could talk about. Again, I could fill up an entire list with Harley Quinn episodes, but that just wouldn't be fair to the other characters. This is probably one of the most hard-hitting episodes of the series, and rightfully so. It's the gold standard of the show. Just check it out. Holiday Nights is the next episode I wanted to talk about. Yet another episode that was taken from the comics, or at least a couple of the stories were taken from the comics. One Clayface story in particular. It's the first introduction to the new Batman the Animated Series that we got, airing on Kids WB. Batman made his return on the Superman the Animated Series, which kind of not really spun off, but was more inspired by Batman the Animated Series. And this was their way of bringing the show back. And this episode really sells that really well. It's a lot of fun. I just like the fact that it's a bunch of quick vignettes. We get some good moments with some good characters. The Joker, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Clayface, and a nice little moment between Batman and the Commissioner. It's one of my absolute favorite episodes, and I think it's probably one of the best episodes of the entire series, and the revamp episodes especially. The next episode that comes to mind is Over the Edge. Over the Edge is probably, and I know I've said this about quite a few of the episodes, because they are. I mean, this is it's like trying to pick diamonds to talk about. Over the Edge, though, is in a class of its own. It's the Commissioner versus Batman in the most tense and just, you know, jaw-dropping, nail-biting episode in the entire series. I think it won awards. I certainly was the first episode that really made use of computer animation. It was animation that was used similarly in the animated film Sub-Zero. And it just works so well here. It adds more to the scale and more grandeur to the episode. It's definitely at least top 5 best episodes of the series. And finally, we have what is actually my absolute favorite show of the series. A lot of people might say this is their favorite show of the series. They made a card game based on this episode of the series, and that episode is Almost Got Him. What I really liked about this episode is it is a Batman episode that, for the most part, doesn't actually feature Batman. Batman is only talked about in the third person amongst the characters themselves, and it's just fun to see what these villains would do when they're on their off time, playing a card game, swapping war stories about Batman. It was a lot of fun. It's always fun. If I'm just bored and looking for something to watch, I will pop on this episode. It's fantastic. Definitely my absolute favorite episode in the series. And that was just 10 episodes that I really liked in the series. And there's just so much more. I mean, I could talk about, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, and Sub-Zero, the 2 movies that spawned in the series. And also Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. 3 movies. Mystery of the Batwoman was, it was good. I liked it. Wasn't as good as Sub-Zero or Mask of the Phantasm. Sub-Zero catapulted the character of Mr. Freeze into a different direction, gave him a little bit of closure, but then in the revamp series, they blew that up again. And Mask of the Phantasm is probably one of the best Batman films ever made. It certainly influenced quite a few artists and filmmakers moving forward in terms of Batman. But it's surprising because this show really also spawned almost not just movies and influenced people, but it spawned a universe. From there we spun off with the Superman the Animated Series, then Batman Beyond, Static Shock, the Zeta Project, and then of course Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And these are some of the best animated shows on television. It inspired so many people. It's still one of the best animated shows on television, so highly regarded. And it will be for years to come, decades to come. I plan to share it with my kids, and it's just one of the most special shows that I've had the pleasure of sticking with for my most of my life. Let me know what you think of Batman the Animated Series down in the comments. Are there any episodes that you enjoyed more than others? Any episodes I didn't mention that you really liked? Any of the episodes that I talked about that you wanted to discuss? I'd be happy to talk about it down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell to get updates on all my future videos. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.